actually don't know what to make today. We'll make a quilt. Alright, to get started, I pre-cut strips. You can use a jelly roll or pre-cut a bunch of strips as well. I have my scissors and my sewing machine. So I do have more gray than I do red, so I'll be randomly just picking up colors. I think it adds a bit more character, I guess, to your finished quilt. You can do it however you want. It's really just a fun way to play with it. So we're going to put two strips together. If you have a pattern, you want to make sure the patterns are facing each other. I have solids, so I'm not really caring how I do it, I'm just doing it. I have them connected by the shortest side, and I'm just going to sew them together. I'm not even going to do like a locking stitch or anything, I'm just going to do a straight sew. And that's it, because when we connect them all together in rows, it's going to go over this and secure it into place. So let's just keep going. You can do multiple colors, just make sure that all your raw edges are all on the same side. Like I said, just make sure your raw edges are all on the same side, and since I do have a lot more gray, I'll be doing a lot more gray together, and then every once in a while put red. Secure the edges if you'd like. I just find it a little bit of a waste of time. Just my own personal preference. You can do it how you'd like. You're going to continue this way until all of your ends are connected, and we'll get back together. Alright, everything's been sewed together, all the little edges. We're going to use my dining table as a measurement and cut strips out for my quilt. I'm just going to have that lined up right here. Cut. Start making a pile of my strips right there. Go ahead and get this to the edge. And cut. I'm not too worried about it being perfect. I kind of want them to be a little funky because I think it adds a lot more character to my quilt. I know some people are very perfectionist about it and they swear up and down quilting has to be perfect. I guess everyone has their own cup of tea for it, I guess. To do what you like. Obviously, in the end, it's going to clean up pretty well. Hopefully, that's the idea. A few more strips. Go ahead and continue until we're done. So I cut up all my strips in the length of my dining table. What you can do too is measure out a piece of painter's tape to whatever width or length that you're wanting your cuts to be, and tape it to the floor, and then from there that'll give you a guide as well. I'm just using my dining table because it's small and this quilt is for my son. So let's start sewing our pieces together. I'm just going to grab two random strips. Make sure the raw edges are not facing each other, excuse me. So they're on the outside. And I'm going to sew these two together. So this time I will lock my edges. Turn down the speed. Also on the raw edges, I push them down as I'm sewing, so it goes over that. It makes it a lot easier. You can pin it down if you'd like. This is not a gift or anything, so I'm not being too particular about it, and I'm just straightening up as I go. two strips connected. Okay, let's go ahead and add another random strip. Make sure the pretty sides are facing each other so you have the raw edging on the outsides. Quilts coming together. So keep doing that until you have a desired length or you run out of fabric, and I'll see you when we get there. So I made a front and a back panel with 11 strips sewn together. Remember, this is a very small quilt, it's just for my son, so if you're going to make something for like yourself or something, you're probably going to want to do a lot more. Right now I'm letting my iron heat up so I can iron everything so I can square it up in a moment. Let's see if the iron's ready. My iron is ready. Let's begin. So I can see that my seams were pressed through the sewing machine in that direction. So I'm going to just switch this over so that when I press my seams, I can press them going this like this. Just a preference, you can do it however you wish. I don't press my seams just because I'm a quick sewer. I guess it's more sloppy than anything. But because I am going to square up, I do recommend pressing your seams so that when you cut everything, it doesn't come out looking really funky. Alright, I'll bring you back when I'm finished ironing. Alright, so I took off my iron, which is cooling off. We'll need that again later, so don't put it away. I moved my sewing machine off the table because this is probably the biggest surface I have in the house. So are you ready to see what the quilt looks like? All ironed up and ready to square off? Ta-da! So much neater. I mean, it has a lot of fuzz and stuff, but that's fine. You're not going to see it. So this is still the back of the quilt. Don't freak out. I have one edge, as you can see, that is just super crazy. I found that even if I measured this all meticulously, I still end up getting this edge. So I don't know if it's my sewing or what. So that's why I don't even bother, because I'm going to end up cutting a lot of it off anyways. But on this edge, it's a whole lot straighter. Because I sewed everything together starting on this edge, and my next row started still on this edge. I did that because I wanted it to make it easier to square up with my new piece. Oh, well, with the backing. So I'm just going to put edges together, starting in this corner. Almost perfect going all the way around, except for that bottom edge, which we are going to chop up in a moment. This side is good, so I'm going to make sure everything's scooted that way. My front and back panels are not going to match, but I am not too worried. I work with what I got. Go ahead and scoot a bit more. Try to keep this on the edge so I have a straighter bottom to work with. And I can see it is really, really just crazy. So what's cool about my dining table is that it's tile. So I have this really awesome straight piece right here that I can cheat and use as a straight line. And my scissor kind of stays in it. I'm going to cut this and we'll come back. Alright, since we cleaned up this edge, I'm going to put the right sides together and I'm going to sew up what I can going all the way around, except for leaving this edge undone because it's so wonky. I want to sew 3 corners and then I'll straighten this up and then I'll show you how we're going to close it up and turn it inside out. Alright, so I have my pretty sides facing each other and my raw edging on the outside. Let's go ahead and start sewing up the 3 outside edges. I'm going to go ahead and lock still and go straight down. End, and let's work on the next side. So that edge is off by maybe 1.5 inches, so we're going to go ahead and get our scissors and straighten it out, and I'm going to show you how to close this all up. Let's close it up, turn it inside out, and call it a quilt. Alright, for closing up our quilt, we are going to go to one of the corners that's still open. Get a little bit more straight, lock up that edge. And you're going to sew about, it's like half, almost halfway through. I just stopped randomly about halfway through. So I'm going to go ahead and lock up this area. And one more time for good measure. Alright. And then put my edge. Turn it around till I get the other edge. Alright, so I'm going to go down to where I stopped previously. I'm going to give it maybe about 5 to 6 inches of just an open area, and then I'm going to end up hand sewing this shut after I turned it inside out. Alright, so lock up your edge. Give it about 5-6 inches, lock up that edge again. Take that off, turn off the machine. I'm not going to need it anymore, we're done. I'm going to snip these edges with my scissors that I left over there. Be right back. So I'm going to just snip these edges. When you turn everything inside out, it will make a much neater edge than if you left it. Trust me, it's a step worth taking. I'm also not going to do anything about any of this fuzz because it's going to be on the very inside. It's not a big deal for me. If you want, you can clean it all up. Lint roll it, wash it like this. I'm not very perfectionist when it comes to my crafts, I guess. So I'm not too worried. Alright, so all my edges are snipped. Let's find that open seam. Here it is. And my hand fits. Go all the way to the furthest edge. It makes it a lot easier to turn. Kind of grab some and pull through. There are ways to do this, but again, make it work. Make sure that hole is big enough for your hand to squeeze through, or you're going to have a whole lot of issues. Alright, so it's turned inside out. I'm going to go in and straighten up those edges. See, because I clipped it, I'm able to turn it and I'll give it a nice point. When I iron it at the very end, it'll even straighten it up even better. This is one way to close up your quilt. I know people like to do binding around it, like blanket binding, and also put, what is it called? It's not fiberfill. batting. Batting. I used to work at Joanne, so I couldn't remember batting. People like to put batting in between and then do top stitching. Those are fantastic, and I tried it. It's a lot of hard work, but very fun and very fluffy blanket. I live in the desert. It's the middle of summer. I think this will be best. But when winter rolls around, who knows? We might revisit this and do a really fancy one. So, now that we have all the edges turned, let's start hand sewing this shut. Okay, hopefully we can see a bit better here. So here's my hole. I already pre-threaded a needle. I made it quite long. You can do it however you like, and I also double knotted my end. I did 2 strands. You can do it as thick. You could do just one if you like or not. So I forgot what this stitch is called. If I remember or if I find it, I will put it down below. Alright, so I'm just going on the inside to where I locked up and bringing my needle through. And making sure I still have a little bit of my thread out because I'm going to go around to the other side. So it's red we came through, and so I'm going down through gray. As you can see, hopefully. Alright, and then I am going to just put it between both, tighten that end bit. So the thread is now around the needle. This is just knotting it. You don't have to do this. You can do it however way you find it best. I like this. It's just super secure, eases my mind. I could toss the blanket around, wash it, whatnot, and I don't feel like it's gonna unravel on me. Alright, so now that is secure, give it a bit of hem and pull the needle through from back to front, and you need to line it up on the red side, so make sure it's lined up, go through, and you're going to give it just a bit of space, make sure you're leaving hem, and pull. So you can see that the thread is lined up. Let's go ahead, do that again. Now we're going on the gray. Give it a bit of space. So the thread is lined up. Try to be even with this as you're going through. It makes it just neater and easier. And make sure you don't get yourself in a knot. Not yet. So that when you pull it shut, it's invisible now. So you can't even tell, well, a little bit, but pretend. You can't even tell that there was a hole there. So we're going to continue. You can also iron this, so it's a lot easier to work with. Or if you can just spot a decent amount of hem allowance, then you could do that too. Again, I am not a perfectionist, so I just sew. Make sure you don't pull it too tight because then it'll start to bunch up and look a little funky. So just give it a nice tug and then kind of run your fingers around it and it will loosen it up enough. Make sure you don't accidentally get a knot. Alright, let's go ahead and give that another tug. And also if you, like right here, I noticed that my red is a bit looser than my gray, so that means I haven't been very consistent and even with my space between the next stitch, so I'm just gonna allow a bit more on the red than on the gray, just for it to even out without it having to have a drastic like bunch up at the very end. Because the whole point of this is try to make it look as invisible as possible. It's to the end. It's a little bit harder to do, but like I said, if you iron this, you can see the line that you're supposed to follow, so it makes it a bit easier. Not perfect, but that's okay. Alright, I've already gone past where I locked it up with my sewing machine, so I like to do just a little bit more, try to get as into that, I guess, stitching as possible. So it secures it. I guess it's like locking it without having to use a sewing machine. So the way I finish is I try to find, it's kind of hard to do for the camera, I'm sorry. I try to find one of the stitches in the middle. So let me see if I can do that now. So I'm just gonna put my needle . Okay. So I pulled, camera. So I pulled my material as much as I can just so I can see where the stitching was. Alright, and I can see that there was a stitch made right there. So I'm going underneath. Hopefully you can see. Going underneath, pulling that through without going all the way, because now I'm going to start making a knot. I like to use my needle as a stopping point so I can get it as tight as possible. And I just do this a couple of times. That's a good secure knot, so this time pull it all the way through. And push it through both pieces of fabric. So you're kind of going now in that empty space in the middle. And pop it out somewhere random, not too far, so that when you now get... Oh, see, look, made a mistake already. That's fine, we'll use this end. So right here is where it's gone through, and I pushed it through the fabric here. So I pulled it a bit, and I'm going to get my scissors to pull it a bit more and cut so that when I let go, ignore that, so when I let go, my thread's on the inside now. So I do have a little knot right here because I went through it a couple times just because my son is 1.5 and he will throw this around the house. I already know. So this is just me making sure it's secure. I'd probably say do it about twice, that little knot bit, so it's not so prominent, but he's not gonna mind. I don't mind. I know it's secure. Alright, let's go ahead and iron this all up and let's see what it looks like in the end. Alright, I'm letting my iron warm up a little bit. I forgot to mention I do have snips. You can use scissors if you'd like. This is just to clean up any loose pieces, like right here. I have one of my threads coming through. I just go right there and I'm gonna just plunk it in a little pile over there. And this is the time where I will start cleaning up all the little bits of lint on the outside and be a bit more meticulous about how my quilt came out and how it looks. I do not have a lint roller. I really should own one. As you can see, I do own a cat. But this is fine. So this is warmed up already. I felt the heat just going near it. My edges as, I guess, stiff as possible, so I'm trying to roll back as much fabric as I can. Do this going all the way around and clean up any of your little lint pieces, anything that you need to cut. Now would be the time, unless you've done it a lot more cleaner and neater than I have. And then we'll see what this looks like all done. I tried a couple different ways to find the best way to show you what this looks like. So this is what I can come up with. So here's the front, or the back. Here's one side. And here's the other side. So far my son, I don't know if you can hear him. He hasn't tried grabbing it yet, but I'm sure he's gonna. Hope you can see his shadow. Anyways, I thought this was a fantastic craft to do, and I have plenty left over, so I'll probably try making another one, but a different design. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Other than that, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.